Okay, is this better? Is this better? Okay, all right. Okay, I know there's not a lot of people on today. Starting today, your exam should be open up. Um, I kind of got the camera angled down a little bit. I'm trying to get it angled down some more. But I have the book. So starting today, what I am going to do is go through the book because we got to start preparing for your exam. Your exam is going to be still set up like a standardized test. And Jenna, your book is on the way. Um, your test is going to be set up like a standardized exam. What I am going to do, I got the book out right here. I want you guys to see it. I am going to go through the book. I am going to go through some topics and some things that you need to look for. Today, we're just going to discuss what type of topics that are going to be on the test, what you need to look for, what chapters these topics are in. Some of these, we're going to go over the first half of those. So that's what we're going to do for this class. The next class, I'm going to be still going over those topics. What you need to focus on for the test. It's a lot, but that's why I wanted to start the review early so that you guys can know what to expect. Quite a few people are taking their MCATs and stuff in the summer. And so they want to be prepared and they want you guys to be prepared. So this is the way we're going to go with this. I will say, and some people are going to grad school, so we have to make sure that you guys are ready for these exams. What did I want to say? I think that was it. But we're going to go through the chapters starting from the beginning of the book. So I don't know if anybody have a paper book, but just be ready to write some of these topics down. I wish some more people would have been on here today, but we're reviewing today. I know some people probably doing these tests, but there's a lot of things that I want to go through the book and tell you these are the type of topics you're going to see and everything. And then that's what I was going to say. Next week, I'm going to look at different type of sample questions that you're going to expect to be on the test. But they're going to be very similar to the types of questions you see in your organic chem ACS book. So I want you guys to look at it. So this week and next week, we are reviewing for the final exam. It is a lot of stuff to cover. So projects, anything else that y'all got going on extra with me, I would say go ahead and try to wrap it up and go ahead and just get it on out of the way so that you can take time to really focus in and study. It's stuff that most of you guys already know. I don't want people to be under the impression that, okay, we're going to get the same types of questions that we got during this school year. You're not. The questions are going to be formatted as if you are taking an ACS or a MCAT-based type test or pre-professional test, GRE based test. The questions are going to look like that. So I want you to keep that in mind. So if you got other type of books, those types of questions, I want you guys to be expecting that. So you're going to have to do a hardcore review. And so we're going to get started now. Let me find I had my glasses up here somewhere, and I don't want to be straining my eyes too much. All right, so let's go back to chapter number 1 in our book. So chapters 1 and 2, in our book basically looked at the periodic table, looked at structures and bonding and everything. So chapters 1 and chapter 2 were basically reviews, drawing Lewis structures and everything. So one of the things to really look at from chapter 1 and chapter 2 are knowing your Lewis structures, knowing your Lewis structures, how to draw them. They will put some on there. So knowing your Lewis structures is very important. 1.4, isomers. And that's page 17, section 1.4, isomers. That would be some topics that would be on your test. So you would see that. So understand stereoisomers, constitutional isomers. There would be questions about that on the test. I'm trying to spread out a little bit here to make sure that I'm going over everything. You may see some stuff about resonance, but what you're going to do is knowing about those. Let's see. Not anything about bond length. You do need to know about the groups, structures, how to draw them, condensed structures, skeletal structures. Understand those types of structures. I'm not saying that you're going to draw them, but you need to know what they are and how they look. So understanding the different types of structures. All right. Let's see. What else did we go over in chapter 1? 1.9, hybridization. Hybridization is very important. Make sure that you know and you understand that. Now, we discussed hybridization all throughout this book. So make sure you understand hybridization, what it is. SP2, SP3. Understand all of those because we talked about those a lot. SP2 hybridization, SP3. Know the differences between those. Understand the hybrids. So that's coming from 1.9 in your book. And a good thing to look at is looking at ethane, ethylene, and acetylene. Those are different ones. So on page 38, it talks about the 3 types of hybrid orbitals, SP, SP2, and SP3. So understand those and know those and look at those. Know the difference between sigma bonds and pi bonds. And understand what they are. Let me see if there's anything else from this chapter. Carbon S character on page 44. That is something good that you need to look at. Polarity. Polarity is something you have to understand. So I think that is all from chapter number 1. So I'm going through each chapter and just telling you what to focus on, but I want you to make sure that you understand all of these things. Chapter number 2. Now, chapter number 2 deal with acids and bases. Chapter number 2 has a lot of stuff in it that you guys definitely need to focus on and look at. So chapter number 2. Now, if you're looking at chapter number 2, you need to look at what are Bronsted acids, Bronsted bases. So that is in chapter 2. I'm just making some notes. The reactions of the Bromstead Lewis acids and bases. Understand that. On page 2.3, acid strength and pKa. Acid strength and pKa. That is on page 64. So understand what pKa is. Know that. Different pKa values. Understand the outcome of acid-base reactions. Trying to see if there's anything else from chapter number 2. Common acids and common bases. Be familiar with those. Know those factors that determine acidity. Make sure you know that. That's on page 76. And like I said, common acids, common bases. So I think for chapter 2, that is most of it. A good thing to look at to help you guys are the review concepts at the end of the chapters. Those are good things to look at as well. Like the key skills and all of that stuff. Those are good things to really look at the end of the chapter. Those will give you some great ideas as to what would be on the test. Okay. We're on now to chapter 3, and chapter 3 deals with the functional groups. And like I said, I got the book here. I'm just flipping through the book. Just make sure you write things down. If you got questions, it's only 3 of you on right now. If you need to chime in, unmute and chime in, or if you want to just write something out, that's fine. Just let me know. Chapter 3, the functional groups. Every part of this exam is going to deal with the functional groups. Every part of this exam. So you got to know about the functional groups. So they're going to ask about all of them. Every question more so is going to have stuff on there. Hydrocarbons. That chart right there, it says aliphatic hydrocarbons, alkanes, alkenes, alkynes, and then the aromatic hydrocarbons. Those are what you need to know about. That is on page 95. Yes, those are reactions. We've been talking about them. Benzene, the different type of phenyl groups. We've been talking about all of those. Make sure you understand what is a primary carbon, secondary carbon, tertiary, quaternary carbon. The primary hydrogen, the secondary, tertiary. You need to understand where those reside at. Chapter 2 give you a great overview of all of the functional groups that we have covered. And so make sure you know those. Aldehyde, ketone, carboxylic acids, acid chlorides. 3.2, you talk about electrophiles and all of that stuff, electrophilic reactions, substitution reactions. We're going to talk about all of that. Okay, let's see what else. See, I'm trying to see. Ionic compounds. Yes, ionic compounds and compound ionization. That's going to be on there. That's from chapter 3, compound ionization. That is on there. Understand about the physical properties. Make sure you understand about symmetry, boiling points, just different physical properties. Okay, and I'm trying to see what else. Let's see. That's chapter 3. All right, let's move on to chapter 4. On April, I'm trying to see. Okay, chapter 4. Now, the rest of the book are starting to get into the actual functional groups themselves. So when they talk about nomenclature, that is nomenclature for all of the functional groups. Nomenclature for all of the functional groups. Okay, so make sure you look at the functional groups for all of them. I'm trying to see cycloalkanes, name of them, common name, natural occurrence, properties. When they talk about conformations of these ones, make sure you pay attention to that. Oxidation, redox reactions, oxidations, you need to really look at that. So make sure you understand about the nomenclature, naming them. So go back over nomenclature. That is a main thing that they will cover on the test, is nomenclature. So even if just sitting down, just focusing on nomenclature, that will be fine. Confirmations as well. Make sure that you are understanding that nomenclature. I'm trying to see what else for chapter 4. Now, they do chapter 4, just get into alkanes. Chapter 5 is stereochemistry, looking at the isomers, the stereogenic centers, know all of that. The diastereomers, meso compound, R and S assignments, you need to understand all of those in chapter 5. So what you have to do is chapter 5 is going to be something that's going to be kind of heavy. So if you're looking at 5.5, stereogenic centers, we talked about all of this stuff. As we went through a chapter, we've been still talking about all this stuff, even from the beginning. So I want to make sure that you understand that that stuff is on your test, knowing the difference between R and S, how to assign those priorities and stuff. That's what you need to make sure that you go back and review those. Diastereomers, make sure you know what those are. So stereochemistry is going to be on there. Meso compounds, a little bit. R and S assignments. Okay. The physical properties, optical rotations, that is very important. Chemical properties, when we start talking about enantiomers, they are on there. They're talking about the chemical properties, what they are. Enantiomers having the same chemical properties except for their reaction with chiral, non-Rasmussen reagents. So make sure you understand that, understand all of that. That is on there. Make sure go through the end of the chapters. They'll give you an idea of what the definitions are and everything. Let's see. Chapter 6, understanding the reactions and writing those organic reactions. That is something that you need to know. Hold on just a second. All right. Okay. Writing equations for organic reactions, the types of reaction, substitution reaction, elimination reaction, addition reactions. We have talked about those. Make sure you understand all of those. We're going to talk about those ones. So those will be covered on the test. Let's see what else. Also reaction mechanisms. I know that I put up a sheet for reaction mechanisms. Make sure you understand those reaction mechanisms. You will see those. Thermodynamics, equilibrium constants, pKa, all of that stuff. There will be some of those on the test. So make sure you understanding all of those. Gibbs free energy, entropy. You may see some of those, the energy diagrams that will be seen, and that is in chapter number 6. Understanding reaction kinetics, know what catalysts are. So that is substitution, elimination, addition reactions. Okay. Alkyl halides, nucleophilic substitution. Please understand it. Understand between substitution and elimination. Nucleophilic substitution, nucleophilic elimination. Understand the difference and know the difference between the two. Okay. Understand what it means by good leaving groups, bad leaving groups, and where the Lewis acid bases fit in for that. Nucleophilic substitutions are Lewis acid base reactions. Know that, understand that. Those are very important. Understanding the leaving groups. The leaving groups are very important. Nucleophiles, those are important. Let's see, what type of solvents to use. Then now we get to the mechanism. You guys, functional groups and mechanism. I put those up. You should know those. You should have those in your head. You should know those. You're going to need those for biochem. Please learn those and understand those, because that's going to be the backdrop for biochem. I know y'all going to probably be taking a break from that, and then for most of you guys, I'll see you guys again in the spring, but you really need to focus on those. Knowing the functional groups and knowing the mechanisms. And I think on there I put the mechanisms, how they break down. Understand those. Understand those. 2 mechanisms for nucleophilic substitution. The SN2 mechanism, make sure you understand that it does a front side attack and a back side attack. The SN1 mechanism, see. I don't know. Understand the Hammond postulate. Knowing when the mechanism is SN1 or SN2, you guys have to know that. I'm trying to see. That is it for chapter 7. Elimination reactions. That's the next thing. So your test is going to have a lot of this stuff that is heavy on there with the mechanisms. So make sure that you understand that. The stability of the alkenes, and the alkenes do SN1 and SN2 reactions. Make sure you understand that. The E1 mechanism, understanding that E1 mechanism, first order kinetics. Whether or not it's periplanar, that is on page 325. Different conformations, equatorial, axial, make sure you understand those. If the mechanism E1 or E2. So SN1, SN2, E1, E2, substitution or elimination. Make sure you understand the differences between those. All right, so that was chapter 8. Chapter 9, we are dealing with alcohols, ethers, and related compounds. How do you convert these? Nomenclature, again, nomenclature is important. You need to know the reaction of the alcohols, the ethers, the epoxides. So chapter 9 has a lot in there, but you do need to understand those, understand the properties. Alcohol and ethers are both common products of nucleophilic substitution. Remember that. Some of these little things, these little key things you guys need to know and understand. I'm trying to see if anything else. I'm trying to make sure that stuff sticks out to me. That we're going over. Reaction of ethers with strong acids. Talk about that. I'm trying to see ether styles, sulfates. I think that is all. Electrophilic substitution. Know the difference between major products and minor products reactions. What would come out to be a major product? What would come out to be a minor product? You need to know that. Okay, let me get on to chapter 10. Alkanes and addition reactions. Doing the nomenclature, calculating the degrees of unsaturation, definitely going to be on there. Hydrohalogenation, hydration, halogenation addition, hydroboration. All of those things are key things that may be on the exam. So make sure you understand calculating the different degrees of that EZ, calculating all of that. That will definitely be on the exam. We're talking about lipids a little bit right here, hydroboronation, how they add in synfaction, all of that. You need to understand that. Knowing the mechanism, regioselectivity, stereochemistry. How to work backwards and how to work forward with the alkenes in the reactions. Newman projections. Newman projections will be on there as well. Understand the Newman projections. Newman projections. They will be on there. Okay. Chapter 11, alkynes and synthesis. Understand how to prepare them, the nomenclature. I mean, nomenclature of all of these are very important. 11.9, I am going to look at the addition of water. Looking at additional water, how water in some cases may stabilize certain things. So make sure you see that and have that. Yeah. Yes. 11.9, two alkyl groups bonded to the carbon, oxygen, carbon is called a ketone. The enols, the addition of a halogen. When it comes to water, understand all of that from chapter 11. Okay. All right, chapter number 12 is redox reactions. Let's see here. A lot of this chapter will be on the test. If we're talking about the green chemistry principle from 12.13, epoxidation, oxidation of alcohols. This is one of the chapters that we have went over that you must understand, because most of organic chemistry is redox reactions. So really going back through and reviewing this chapter is a good idea. Let's see. Yeah, you're going to be talking a lot about that. Epoxidation, dehydroxylation, oxidative cleavage. Oxidative cleavage would be a topic that will probably be on your exam. Okay. So chapter 12, redox reactions would be very heavy. Spectroscopy, you guys, spectroscopy. What you need to know. Where are the functional groups on the spectrums? Where do you find them on the spectrums? Where do you find certain things on the spectrum? That's what you need to know. they're going to ask you questions about that. So not only to propose molecular formulas, most of the questions that I have seen is you got to know where things are, where you find a CH stretch and everything. So the thing of it is that knowing where things are found on the spectrums. So for all of them, whether it's NMR, FTIR, mass spectroscopy, where to find what on the spectrums. So if there are charts out there, and I know there's some that are in the books, where you're going to find certain things like if you look at IR spectrums, where are you going to find those different fingerprint regions? Really pay attention to that. Page 539. That is the 4 regions of the IR spectrum that tells you where things are located at. Bonds to hydrogen, triple bonds, double bonds. If you find charts that tell you where different functional groups are located on the IR spectrum, make sure you pay attention to those. On CNMR, on HNMR, find those charts. Those charts will help you because they will ask you where these appear at. Important IR absorptions, OH, NH, CH, all of those. Those types of charts are important. Those are the ones that you will be asked about. The same thing for NMR. So one is proton NMR, that's HNMR, that's proton, and the other one is carbon. Proton NMR is to determine the number of type of hydrogen atoms in a molecule. Carbon is used to determine the number of carbon molecules. Sorry, I'm just making sure nobody was at my door. Okay, so with those, study the charts and know where things happen where. That's what you need to know. Increasing shifts plotted right to left, upfield, downfield, knowing what those terms mean. Knowing the difference between the table C3, peak, singlets, doublets, triplets. So again, I'm going to repeat myself again to make sure you understand. For these types of exams, whether you go in medical school, all of that, you need to know where things are on the spectrums for HNMR, mass spec, and IR. Now, the reason for that, they use these in all different types of places, not only in research labs, they use those same things in crime labs. So know that stuff. That's very important. Radical reactions, there are going to be some questions on there about radical reactions. So chapter 13, even looking at polymers, polymerization, oxidation of lipids, halogenation, chlorination versus bromination. These things will be on the test for chapter 13. So a lot of the stuff on your test, it may be more so, there's a lot of stuff that's going to be in the beginning, but chemistry builds just like math builds. So you will see a lot of this stuff from the beginning on there, and it may be one or two topics tied up into one question. So I just want you guys to be aware of that. Chapter 13, radical reaction. A lot of chapter 12 and chapter 13, even on some of your main exams, would be there. Let me check something. From chapter 13, radical stability would be very important. Let's see, conjugated dienes, Dow's outer reaction, resonance, hybrid. So those things, electrophilic addition, 1,2 versus 1,4. Understand that and know that too. And that's from chapter 14. Conjugation, whenever p orbitals can overlap on 3 or more adjacent ions. What else? Electron delocalization, hybridization, and geometry. Let's see here. What else? So this chapter 14. These tests will always ask questions about aromatic compounds and benzene. There will always be a question on that. Come to expect that. There will always be questions around benzene and aromatic compounds. I don't care what type of test you're taking. Even if it's just simple, they're going to ask that question. I don't care if you're going to grad school, MCAT, whatever type that you're taking. That's how I feel. So I'm just going to tell you that right now. So be looking for that. Different types of aromatic compounds, predicting that. So everything that you've been going over. Chapter 16, get into aromatic substitution and all of that stuff. Hold on, let me flip to the front part. Friedel Crafts, acclination and acceleration. That is going to be on there as well. Multi-step synthesis. That is going to be something that you see. Knowing all of these substitution, electrophilic substitution, nitration and sulfonation, that's going to be on there. All right, let's see. Now we are on chapter 17. Organometallics things. So what you guys got your test on, a lot of that stuff is going to be on there. So 17 through 22 discuss carbonyl compounds, aldehydes, ketone, esters, amines, and carboxylic acids. So chapter 17 had a lot of those reactions. So look at those and make sure you know those reactions and everything for those. So 17 and 18. And with that, that's pretty much it, you guys. I really have touched on some things. Step mechanism, free radical reactions, synthesis reactions, um, different type of things, knowing HMR, NMR, where things fall on those, all of these different things, hydroboration, oxidation reactions, um, the different transformations, understanding what polymerization is, um, ionization. Ionization is something you should already know. The reaction mechanism, the difference between major products and minor products in different reactions, um, the electrophilic aromatic substitutions, all of that. What I have done is went through the book and just basically told you pretty much where you can find most of this stuff. So that's really the main things that are going to be on the exam. So if you got any questions, what I did today was just went over a review of what type of topics, where to find these topics at in the book, what's going to be on your final exam. On next week, what I am going to do is go over basically what type of questions to expect. I'll tell you guys, you can also go out there, look at the MCATs, look at old ACS exams. They have them out there online. Look at what type of questions that you're going to see. Look in your study guidebook. I'm going to talk about different types of questions, what type of questions you're going to see on there. But what I wanted to do today is give you an idea of the range of topics that are going to be on there so that you'll know what to be looking for. It's basically, really, to be honest, is I tell people what my teacher used to tell me, just know the book. I know that sounds crazy and I know that's mean, but you know, they can come from pretty much anywhere when it comes to these exams. They just give you the general topics that you are to go over, and that's pretty much it. But I wanted to kind of narrow it down some so you'll know where to go look for it in the book and where you can find those. That is all that I have. Make sure to look at NMR, mass spec, and those spectroscopies. Know where those functional groups lies. Know those mechanisms. I'm telling you, you guys, that's what saved me even in organic when I had to take these types of standardized based exams, is knowing the mechanism, knowing the functional groups, knowing where they were on the instrumentation. Know the substitution, electrophilic reaction, understand and know those. I am telling you, that is very important. That's where all of the topics are going to center around, that and nomenclature. That's all I have, you guys. Good luck on the test. Get together with your friends somehow. If y'all want to do a late night Zoom discussion or whatever on more in detail of how these gonna look, let me know. Like I said, I can arrange, the boys can be down. I can do it really late at night. They schedule a little bit off, but I'll be willing to do it. You just need to let me know. That's all I have for now. Good luck, and I will see you guys on Monday.